I want to talk about kind of an interesting topic. I was happy that somebody asked this because we did an episode on healing recently, and this actually wasn't something that came up, but somebody wanted to all combine sort of two questions because I think they sort of go hand in hand from what I've learned from you. Somebody was asking about the black goo, and I've heard you talk about detoxing that from yourself. And another question was somebody was asking about recommended remedies for purging our body of I got to be careful with what I say here, nanotechnologies that have, gotten into our bodies through shots and chemtrails and tainted food water, etc. So wanted to see if you could touch on the black goo and maybe the ways that we can detox and purge ourselves from all of these chemicals and, black goo stuff that gets in us.
Heck yeah. I'm gonna go to a website, y'all. Let
Yes.
me just show you the OG. Let me just show you my OG.
Yes.
Nicholson, 1968. Heck yeah, man. This guy. Now you can dive in here for months. I could just lose you guys for a long
This
time in here.
website.
It's well worth your time. It's well worth an endeavor in here. He has. Do you see what I see is also on YouTube? I believe that's his channel. But we'll go into his website right here because his major crux that he is always hammering, which is so brilliant, is that the goal of the Antichrist, the anti-Messiah, is to set up his reign in a third temple. That's not some place they're going to build overseas in some desert place. It's your body. He said, the body, behold, the kingdom is within you. Like your body is the temple that Satan and the beast and the Antichrist want to get inside of. That's fundamentals here. Transhumanism and the insertion of metal mixing with clay is the ultimate like kingdom that they're trying to build into. So he's got on here, let me see. I'll go to his playlist. He's got one that's let's see. He's got some of the best stuff I've ever seen on the black glue and programmable matter is what I would call it. Okay. Let's see. These are just, you can get lost in a lot of these for a long time. But what he does is he also takes a lot of like modern videos and commercials and TV shows and stuff like that and shows you how they're revealing this to you and how this is like fundamental to this. But um he goes into, so these are his different videos, and oh man, he's got hundreds and hundreds of videos. He's been at this for a long time. He does a lot of really good music as well, and it's absolutely incredible. Anyways, black goo, I'll just go back in here. Black goo, he's got one on here that's all on black goo. He's got a whole series and playlist on that. I can't find it right now, but I know that you guys can. Anyways, it's well worth your time. Programmable matter, fundamentally. Black goo, I think on one side of this, you got two potential equations for it. On one side, it is literally nanotechnology that is designed to be a programmable matter so that they can put it inside and make replicants of itself and then take over the host body and be able to do different stuff. In the United States Army, I went through an experimental program where they were like, hey, we want to give you the ability to run faster and be stronger and tough, like a Superman soldier thing, right? They gave me shots, and in those shots was a vial that had the black goo inside it. And when I stepped off the boat or off the vehicle when I was offloading into my advanced individual training program, I rolled my ankle severely, like shattered bad. And I literally went to, oh, it just makes me cringe. I went to sick call. Okay. And the doctor came in and said, we've got an injection for something that's going to take the pain away and it's going to give you your strength back in your ankle. Okay. And it had this black goo inside it and literally gave me these injections along my ankle and all the pain went away. And I was stronger than I'd ever been in that ankle. And I immediately was back in action. Okay. Later on in my life, I understood that what had happened was I took into my body something that was absolutely not original design material. Like this is something that altered me genetically in DNA. Like it made me different. It made me different. And then when I got out of the military, it made me dull. Like it was like somebody pushed an off switch inside me and I was constantly sick. I was constantly like I felt like my body was going through rejection of another organ. It was horrible how sick I was and how jacked up I was and weak I was. And so it wasn't until I started going to a counselor and started praying a lot of these renunciation prayers like we're talking about today. Well, I sat there in his office and I specifically was praying and repenting for putting that stuff inside my body, for allowing that stuff to come into me and agreeing to it. And I literally prayed that literally the Father would go in. The great physician is like one of the titles for our Messiah. Like he's called the great physician. And I believe he can physiologically go in and separate out what would otherwise be something that's unseparatable. And after I prayed that, I literally had that goo, like a black oil, come out around my ankle, like come out around from the sites where there was those injection spots. And it was like a smear, like a greasy substance that came out of my ankle. Nowhere else on my body. I've had other times when I started doing like an actual physical cleanse, a detox. We started taking like a nascent iodine and Lugol's iodine when we started drinking spring water. And I had like white milky stuff come out of the back of my neck, like where at the back of my sweating area and stuff like that. And I believe a lot of that was decalcification of my pineal gland. Like a lot of this buildup in our bodies from the drugs we're on all the time by drinking tap water or drinking a soda or drinking a coffee. Like you're drinking poison constantly, and a lot of it physically affects you in a serious way. So on Black Goo side of it, I believe, yes, it's a literal technological equation. I've also seen Black Goo being drunk in ceremonies out of golden chalices and out of human skulls. That I believed was the blood of a serpent, the blood of one of these dragons. Like when they would bleed, it was this black substance that would come out of them. So I've seen that side of that equation that was more like a parasite. And so what I don't actually know is the version that the military was using, is that just the same thing as what I saw in there? Is it that same parasitic transfer, or is it this technological side of it? Because I know there are definitely people that are doing dark sciences that are trying to build stuff like this, that they want to be able to program it with a computer. But I believe fundamentally this goes back all the way back to Enki and these I mean the Sumerians. These people have been drinking this Black Goo and these black chalices for a long time. And so I believe that is literally like the blood of the serpent that people are drinking. And when they drink that, they get this power of foretelling and divination, and they're able to see the future. And so they use that during these rituals so they can see the future. But I believe it is a parasitic host relationship. So detoxing side of it, like we're crazy fanatics about that. We just did a video about a lot of not just our detox protocols, but like our normal health regimen. We're like all into the natural cures, y'all. Like I don't want to go to the drug dealers at Walgreens ever again. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't need any more of our money. They all need to go to prison fundamentally. Like that's what all those quarantine camps need to be used for. You know what I'm saying? But the major detox things that I've utilized that have been super helpful for me is diatomaceous earth, black walnut. Those are like really, really powerhouses for me. Trying to think of some of the other ones. Okay, I did a super ridiculous detox. I'll just tell you right now. It was freaking insane. Okay. Josh Truex has a protocol that he gives away on his website, Modern Roots Health. I'm going to go to another website. Let's do it. This will be fun.
Do it.
This one's more happy, right? A lot less dark, a lot less like creepy occultist stuff, you know? Modern Roots.
You're right, though. There are so
Okay.
many ways that we're poisoned. So this is fascinating.
It's an onslaught, y'all. You got to deal with it's like a multi-front attack, okay? Like I'm trying to wage a perpetual war on like 450 different fronts, right? Like because we're just being bombarded in every arena that we have, okay? Modern Roots Life. This is like of anybody that I like to support and buy supplements from, like this guy, Josh. He's brilliant. He's like savant, smarter than me. This is one of those people that like when I talk to, I'm like, I feel stupid. I need to read more books. I love being around people like that. I'm like, I need to just get smarter super fast. So anyways, he's got this thing on here, his protocol info, okay? He's got this right here. Check this out. You can do consultations with him. I highly recommend it. He's an incredible believer, and he's a wonderful guy. And he was one of the best trainers in the world at 24-hour fitness in Vegas, was crushing it. Like could have been making millions of dollars instead, devoted himself to trying to give away a lot of his protocols and his research and shared a lot of this stuff publicly with people instead of just privatizing it towards the rich. So mad respect for this guy. Anyways, this is his protocol. I highly encourage you. You can get this for free, y'all. I highly encourage you to dive into this and schedule a consultation with him. You can talk to him, like, and dive into it. Now he has on here, oh man, detox guide. Oh, sun lights you up. Oh, okay. This one, I don't know if I can let me see if I can just get it for you guys real quick. Oh man. All right. These little lemons in here. Death in the lemons, man. They're coming for you. Here it is. Okay. This is the 4 ingredients that changed my life fundamentally. All right. Maple syrup, water, cayenne, and lemon. Yep. That's it. Okay. He has this protocol in here, and this is what I did. And Chelsea did last summer as well. She had lost her sense of smell for, I don't know, 12, 14, maybe 14 years when she was like in high school. She fell and busted her nose up and got all these vaccines, you know, my wife had all these problems going on with her nose, and she couldn't breathe, and she could never smell anything for a long time, which means she couldn't taste much, and means she couldn't smell my farts. So our marriage was sweet. But then she did this detox, okay? And here's what it was. It was 2 weeks. It's like an intermittent fasting thing, and you drink this cocktail. They're gonna get you. All right, you drink this drink every like hour, on the hour. You don't mess around. You make these drinks. You have like water, distilled water is great during a detox and a cleansing. And so for the first 5 days, okay, You drink on the hour, every hour, water, maple syrup, like a tablespoon or so maple syrup, like a juice of a fresh squeezed lemon. And then like we did a teaspoon. We did a teaspoon of cayenne powder, like 90,000 Scoville cayenne powder. You drink that drink on the hour, 8 ounces of water. You drink that, nothing else for on the hour, every hour for like till like 5 o'clock. Okay. Then you take like charcoal and diatomaceous earth. He has this break your fast bomb. I highly recommend it. Don't mess around. Activated charcoal and diatomaceous earth or bentonite clay. And you take that and then you wait an hour and then you can eat like a light meal, super light. You don't want to eat meat here. You're going to get stopped up on the worst day ever. Okay. This is great. Check into that. Okay. It went crazy. I'm going to tell you right now, this detox lasts for 5 days. And then you have like the 6th day, you can kind of eat a light meal. 7th day, you're allowed to like eat normal. Okay. What happens is cayenne pepper, when it goes inside your body, it's like basically almost omniscient. It is as close to like the most powerful, potent little plant inside you. And so when it goes inside you, that spice, most of you who are averse to spice, it's because your body is super acidic. Okay. If you can't eat spicy things fundamentally, almost always, it's because your body is full of mucus and inflammation. And so when you eat spicy stuff, your body's like, I hate you. Don't you ever do that to me again. Because this spicy stuff, it really does go inside your body and it starts to take those mucus and get rid of it. Like one of the things that happens though is it takes the acid out of your body and it shoots it out your butthole. Okay. That's super hot. Horribly hot, like battery acid. Literally, it's stronger than battery acid. So you got to put some coconut oil on your butthole. Just going to be transparent here, because if you don't, bro, you're going to have the worst case of monkey butt ever. You're going to have a rotting red, brutal butt. It's crazy. I'm going to be super straight with you. We haven't done our detox or die video, but you better do your detox or die. But you will have, if you don't drink this drink every hour, like you are going to be on fire, like cramps, horrible abdominal cramps, like, oh, crazy cramps. Because what's happening is inside your body, you're finally giving it everything that it needs to like run and gun and start taking all of these toxins, because all of you are so full of toxins. Like if you have fat on your body, especially like high quantities of fat, those are toxins being locked away. It's not like calories to be burned later. It's like death. Your body literally is trying to save you from death. Okay. So it locks it up like a prisoner and shoves it in its vault and is like, don't touch that guy until we got everything we need to get rid of him. So as you start to do this detox and this fast, your body's like, oh, we can start to deal with these like living nightmares inside us. And they start to grab those people and escort them out, those monsters. They start to escort those toxins out of your body. So you have these like unbelievable bouts of crazy, insane, colorful diarrhea. And if you like, you're going to go through this stuff. It's awesome. It's horrible. It's wonderful. And I really highly recommend it. It's fantastic. He has a product on there that's called like Herbal Flush. You can start there. That's like an entry level, like work your way in, It's a 30-day, like a lot more mild thing. Some people, it doesn't even really phase them much. Other people that are super sick, like really, really toxic, they're like, the Herbal Flush was brutal. I've been doing like perpetual detoxes forever. Every chance I can, like as long as I've been alive, because I've believed I've been full of parasites, like I watched wiggly, nasty, disgusting, wormy creature things go into my body on a regular occasion. Like I ate super rancid, moldy meat. I ate maggots, all that. I had to eat abominable, disgusting stuff fundamentally as a part of this. And so I wanted all that stuff out of me real bad. And so like papaya seeds, I used to just eat papayas. We lived on a farm and they had papayas. And I literally was like, I'm gonna eat all the papaya seeds. Ah! So I just was like, all the time. Like the people out on the farm were like, dude, you're just not supposed to eat that many. They're like, eat a teaspoon of it. And I'm like, eat as many as are in the papaya. And sometimes there's like half a cup and you're just like, and they taste like rotting. Oh, they're just bad. They're bad, but they're great for you. And I'm all about the super extreme version. I'm like, just get it out of me. Like, get it out of me. These detoxes are fantastic. Okay. They're fantastic. You do that for 2 weeks, you're a different person. Chelsea got her sense of smell back, like straight up. She got her sense of smell back. She looks like a different person. Her face was like glowing and radiant. And I'm like, my gosh, you look like 15 years younger. Like she looked like a different person. It was amazing. But she had abdominal cramps that were so bad, she equated it to labor pain at times. Like I had an incident where I didn't get my drink on time because I took these children down to play with turtles and by the river. And then I had to run in under an oak tree and just have horrible diarrhea. And I was burning and I was trying to like walk back up the hill. And I had these little children that didn't know how to ride bikes and it was muddy and their bikes were stuck in the mud. And I was all like, oh, oh, like I literally had to send Naomi. I was like, Naomi, go get mom. I had to send her like 3/4 of a mile by herself. Never in my life has my daughter been outside of like my field of view. And I was like, go back to mom. Give me the drink. Give me the drink. It was so bad. I was doubled over. And I was like, that was because I was 15 minutes late on a drink. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyways, it's great. For those of you that are looking for some kind of violent way to just turn your life inside and out, I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. And I think it super gets these psychopaths out of you. Like, I'm dead serious. Second, other than that, I like cold plunging, you know, like I'm always advocating cold plunging and fresh milled flour and all these other things and wearing linen. These are literal detoxification factories, all that stuff too, you know, like I talk about this stuff all the time, but we haven't talked about the poop stuff. It's fun. Have a great time.
A violent way to cleanse your body. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Oh my goodness. That's a really good question. People who asked that, great job on having some good questions. We didn't talk about that in our healing episode, and that's obviously a big part of healing. And for people listening too, just as a side note, starting January 3rd, I'm going to be partnering with Alexia Eisenhower from Ricky Leaks. She was on my podcast recently, doing a podcast on basically exorcising parasites out of your body. She considers herself to be a parasite exorcist. So we're going to be doing a parasite cleanse as a group starting on January 3rd. And there's a podcast on my channel. By the time this episode comes out, you'll be able to go back and look. And she's going to outline what products. And we're going to start January 3rd. So I'd love if you guys join us for that. Parasites are also a big, you know, thing we want to detox our bodies from. So we'll do it as a group, and we'll have a big group parasite detox. So join us in that if you can. Next question for Nathan. I had somebody ask, and I've had this asked a lot of times, so I wanted to just ask you. I don't know if you have any tricks or tips on this, but somebody was inquiring about how to find out more about her bloodline. And I have gotten asked that too, and I'm a little bit lost too on where to start on that. I know a little bit about my family, but thought I'd maybe ask you if you have any resources or ways people can do it without donating their DNA to the government to get, you know, some information back.
Don't give your DNA to the Mormons. Just no 23andMe. They're all lying. I'm just telling you, they're lying to you. Don't you dare go believe in anything that any of those results say. Like, I know you guys think that, like, I know my ancestors now. No, you don't. You know whatever the heck they wanted to tell you. That's it, fundamentally. They're all liars. They're looking for the sons of the serpent. That's it. They don't care about any of you. They really don't. They're looking for freak shows out there. They're looking for their children of the Nephilim. They're like, we want another beast of the Antichrist system. I'm dead serious. Yeah, it's like, I know I'm satirical right now, but it's like literally what they believe. Like, they're literally looking for like the children. They believe there's they believe there's these like children of the Christ out there, and there's these like these bloodline carriers, and they're looking to just jack into these people. Okay. These hosts, like they literally want certain types of people's bloodlines in order to be able to so that the parasite has a host that effectively doesn't reject it. So they look for specific bloodlines to do that stuff. They are trying to raise up a seed line for this anti-messiah. Like, that's fundamentally the key component of it. So don't give your stinking DNA to anyone. Gosh dang it. You don't have to do it for anything. No matter how much they're like, just do a quick genetic screening. None of that. No. Say, I do not consent. You can't have my biometric data. No. Pervert, stay out of my body. Don't you do it. See, they're all obsessed with the seed. I'm saying, y'all, don't you let them do it. And then, anyways, so how to do research for it? Yeah, there's this old way of doing things, y'all, called research, and it's super exhausting because it requires you to dive into books, and it requires you to go find people that's their job and their specialty. Okay, like there's heraldists, people that like that's all they do. All they do is investigate bloodlines. So if you really want to find your bloodline, you can go about the old ways of doing research. You can go online and start doing like family tree charts. You can start to build that like yourself. My mom was like spent a lot of time and a lot of money doing that when I was younger. Like there's if you come from a family of certain prestige, you can pay a lot of money to the heraldists that do that job. That like that they hold the records for that. But I don't know that I have a lot of like tips and tricks for like how to like determine that beyond that. Like you guys got to look it up for yourself. Like you got to hunt, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not easy, like, but you got to work hard, like overcome resistance. It's good for you, you know, but like there's libraries that you can go in there and look up books of genealogy. You can find family records. Like I went to the public library back in Flagstaff, Arizona, because I was trying to find marriage certificates and death certificates and all kinds of stuff. So like I went back to the public records office and I started looking through there. Like You can do that kind of stuff. It requires diligence. It requires sometimes a little bit of money as well to buy records or access to records, hospital records, death certificates, that kind of stuff. But that's one of the ways to kind of build that out. They used to have these things called Bibles in people's houses. You ever heard of these things? There used to be like in a house, the family Bible that used to have your genealogy in a family tree, like when people got married, when they died, children, all that stuff. That used to be in people's Bibles. It was a crazy, intense reality that people used to believe and understand that that was a good thing to do, like pass that on to your children. And instead, we're like, oh, you can look it up on Facebook if we're related. So change the system, y'all. Like, keep records.
Good advice. It is tough. Like I started doing that a little bit, and it's not easy if you don't know a ton about your ancestors. It is a little bit tough, but I think that can tell us a lot more about where we came from anyways than these, quote unquote DNA tests that just might tell us, what countries our family may have come from and stuff. Like that doesn't really tell you a lot about your bloodline if what you're trying to find out is what was my family involved with, who were they. It's good to maybe try to find, how Nathan was saying, resources that could lead you to who these people are versus just their quote unquote DNA. So I appreciate you answering that. Speaking of Flagstaff, Arizona, I had somebody ask if you could elaborate a little bit on Flagstaff, um, underground tunnels, Catholic churches, knowledge about Babbitt's involved, Knights of Columbus, and SRA abuse. I would be interested in signs that would indicate there are underlying memories. I think they're talking about themselves. So if you want to talk about Flagstaff a little bit, I know there's a bunch of people that live in Arizona or are around there, and that's always sort of a curious state since you have so much experience with it.
Yeah, on one side of it, like there's a major Catholic church there. It's like a Francis de Assisi or something like that. It's right off the main drag there in that, and that's definitely a place where they were participants in it. Now that was back in the 90s. I can't say for anything contemporaneous with like modernity. I was back in there until I was like 9 years old, and then my family moved out of there. But that Catholic church had a whole bunch of this going on in it. They were doing rites and rituals inside that ceremony, inside that place on Saturday nights, and involving the chalice and the cup and sacrificing infants inside that building. And then the next morning there was a desecration stuff done in there. But specifically in Flagstaff, like Flagstaff was found, like you gotta understand something about Flagstaff that's different. For those of you that are not from Arizona, you're thinking a desert, but it's not. Flagstaff, Arizona sits on a really high plateau. Like it's a mountain range up there, and there's like 9,000 foot mountains, 10, 12,000 foot mountains right there. And they're all volcanic peaks. Okay. Anywhere where you have volcanoes, you have like portals. Okay. Where places where beings go in and out from underworld to the surface world. And so there's a lot of cave systems. There's a lot of what are called lava tubes. There's a lot of caverns that go through that area. And there's a lot of obsidian. There's a lot of volcanic glass. And these are all like key components that intertwine with a place that's called a high place or cone of power. When you go to the points of prominence, like the highest point in any land or any state is a place where people that worship the sun, the moon, the stars, and the heavenly hosts. That's a very important place for them to go and engage in their rituals. Those mountains there, that's called like Mount Humphreys. I always called it Mount Prescott. Like that has a lot of names. It's one of like the cardinal sacred points to the First Nations people, to the natives. They all believed that this was a place where the gods would come down, various forms of it. Like the Hopis had these things called cochinas, that these were like these angels, these beings, divine beings that would come down and have sex with daughters and children between the winter solstice and the summer solstice. There was this time frame where they would come down and they would give them their daughters, and they would make these effigy dolls out of cottonwood roots, and then they would have them nail them above their beds, and that was their like familiar spirit, like we were talking about earlier. That's kind of like their guardian or their ones like that. It's the same kind of stuff. If you notice, this is the same things. They would swear oaths up there, and they would do these rituals where these divine beings were called upon to come out of the caverns and the caves to come and engage in these rituals and to do the same types of things of trying to sire off generational bloodlines. That's where like my whole life had its start point, was on that filthy place. So from there, like you have this place that's called Mount Prescott Observatory. Okay. Or shoot, I may have just gotten the name wrong. It's the place where basically Pluto was discovered there. It's a very famous observatory. Okay. And this is where Pluto, the planet, was first discovered, the wandering star. Like it was the first place that it was discovered and the founder of it. And so there's a major amount of observatories there. Like one of the most expensive scientific programs in the United States Navy is located just outside of Flagstaff, and it's their like interferometer. So it's something that uses lasers and mirrors to do observations and communications on this, like it looks like a giant Y shape. They're like 3-mile long tracks that all of these look like telescopes are able to interline and track with stars and be able to communicate and send data back and forth. This is like a multi-billion-dollar project. It's one of the most advanced observatories in the world. So when you have a high desert, which is like the air is very devoid of moisture, and you're at a high altitude, it allows them to be able to communicate with these beings up there, you guys, because a lot of these are like the celestial hosts. These are beings up there in the sky. It's not just like some kind of like puffy, fiery, like farts, like galaxies far, far away. Like they're beings up there. Okay. These are like wandering stars. It's like a real thing in the Bible. Like you read about it. He's like, the Bible's not lying. Like these things, like they've done some doofus stuff. They did not keep their first estate. Like they're rebels. And so they are shot callers up there. That's why you have the black cube cult of Satan, of Saturn. Like that's literally what these beings are communicating with, and why there's hundreds of billions of dollars invested by the Jesuits and by a lot of these dark orders and these dark sciences to take these high places and build these communications platforms, these observatories. A lot of them are communications for two-way communications back and forth between these beings. Okay, so Flagstaff's at its fundamental basis is what it is as a city, because it's a communion point between the divine, between the heavens and the hell. Okay, so you have access points into the underworld, and you have communication points with the celestial hosts. And so I literally believe that's why, like Meteor Crater, Arizona, which is just outside there, like I believe that's a place where it opened up. I don't believe that's like a meteor strike that came down and I believe that's literally what happens when something comes up from underneath. And that was one of their portals of these, like a fallen watcher when they came out from their prison cell. That's what they left when they came out. So there is like a ritual mixing between realms, all three realms, between the underworld, the earth, and the heavens there in Flagstaff, Arizona. So cults migrate there like crazy, and it's a massive hotbed for occult activity. And then it's just outside of Sedona, Arizona, which is a major gatekeeping place for a lot of what is like the New Age ideology, like the Ishtar goddess worship and stuff like that. A lot of alien and abduction stuff. The reason that it's all centered in there, you guys, is because they've been opening these portals to this stuff from all these occultists that are engaging in this Crowleyan black magic and all this other stuff. They've been engaging in that stuff in that area, saturating that area, and they've opened up a lot of these rifts and portals through bloodshed. When you spill the blood, you open a gateway. You have blood that perpetually cries out as a witness. And so because of that, these other beings can come in and they can masquerade as good angels or as bad angels or as light workers or as any other form of it. They can come in as a kundalini. They can masquerade as whatever they want. They're shapeshifters. Fundamentally, that's what they are. And so they'll come to people and deceive them and lead them astray in any kind of manner or way. So my family, like one of the worst things that happened to me out there is they had a warehouse that's just outside of Flagstaff, like up 180, where they did pit fights. Like they literally had a pit inside a just an all metal like warehouse building where they drop you down in this pit, lower you down on this pit, and make you fight with other children or other men and film it, and then they bet on it and make money off of it like a fight club, but for snuff porn and stuff like that. So Flagstaff is filthy.
Arizona is a whole state. I mean, I guess every state is, the whole country, like you said, is based off and built off of Luciferian foundations. So, it is interesting being able to connect dots. It's so validating for people to hear about these different spots that they may have had abuse in or experiences, and then to have that corroborated by somebody like you.